Hello and welcome to Watch Me Movie. My name is Ryan and today we are watching 12 Angry Men for the first time. So this is a film that's been suggested for a long time, probably since the beginning of the channel. Obviously I've heard of this film. I know that it's a drama that's set within the jury during a trial. And that's the very basics of it. I think the full runtime of the film takes place during the jury's deliberation, and that is all I know about it. I do like to go into these films that I've not seen before completely blind, so that everything is a surprise, and it's kind of a test to see how well I follow along as well. So yeah, I'm not going to ramble on at the beginning of this video. I am eager to get straight into this film. If you appreciate this reaction, then consider giving a thumbs up to the video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. The links to the social media are in the description below, along with a link to the store where you can buy shirts and other things with designs on by me and my brother. And with all that said, let's get straight into 12 Angry Men. Big looming courthouse. This one shot. Nice already. That long take.
It's now your duty to sit down and try and separate the facts from the fancy. If there's a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. The death sentence is mandatory in this case.
The jury will now retire.
I do like the old tradition of having the credits beforehand, especially when it's over something like this. A confident bit of filmmaking is like leaving the camera there for this amount of time and now just panning down slightly, and it's continuing as well. This shot's still going on.
That's it. Well, you'd think that at least air condition these places. What's your names? Oh, it's that one, yeah.
I realise the shot's still going on.
What gets me is where those lawyers talk and talk and talk, even when it's an open and shut case like this one. I mean, did you ever hear so much talk about nothing? Now, let's get started, huh?
Good idea. Yeah.
So I didn't realise that this is the sort of setup of this one long take. I can't remember if I've been told that before. But this is just a masterclass in blocking your actors and the scene.
I tell you, we were lucky to get a murder case. I figured that's for an assault or burglary. Boy, they can be the dullest. Oh, come on, Mr. Foreman. Let's go here, huh?
Well, the guy's still in the bathroom. Okay, man, let's take our seats, huh?
Yeah, we can all get out of here pretty quick, huh? I don't know about the rest of you, but I happen to have tickets to that ball game tonight. The way he hammered home those points one by one.
Look at this group shot and the composition of that frame. Oh, is that the first cut? That's impressive.
It's like being hit now.
Look how beautiful that frame is even.
Who they got? No, I mean, who they got besides good groundkeepers?
Ugh.
I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Who knows? Maybe we can all get out of here.
Okay, are we ready? All those voting guilty, please raise your hands. Okay, that's 11 guilty. All those voting not guilty? 1. Right.
You really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 men in here think he's guilty. No one had to think about it twice except you.
Well, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
I'm willing to sit for an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good story last night. That's not why we're sitting here.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think that trial cost? Listen, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
Do you think you were born with a monopoly on the truth? I think certain things should be pointed out to this man.
Tell him, Grandpa.
Now, perhaps if the gentleman down there who's disagreeing with us, well, perhaps you could tell us why, you know.
Putting us in his position.
Suppose we go once around the table.
I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious from the word go. Well, I just think he's guilty.
The old man lived downstairs under the room where the killing took place. And he heard the kid yell out, "I'm going to kill you." These are facts. You can't refute facts. The kid is guilty.
He claimed he was at the movies during the time of the killing, and yet 1 hour later, he couldn't remember the names of the films he saw or who played in them.
Listen, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does. She looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
Through the windows of a passing L train.
Right.
You don't believe the boy's story. How come you believe the woman's? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
If you don't have a motive, where's your case, right? Didn't they say something about a fight, an argument between the old man and his son around about 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong, but I
can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
That was an interesting shot with him centered and all the faces facing him.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
Well, so would I. A kid like that?
You got any kids?
3?
I got one. When he was 9 years old, he ran away from a fight. I said, "I'm going to make a man out of you if I have to break you in 2 trying." Haven't seen him for 2 years.
The kids who crawl out of these places are real trash. Come on now, there's nothing personal
Oh,
about
now, there
this.
was something personal. Come on.
Okay, look, let's stop the arguing. We're only wasting time.
I thought you were all going to try to convince me. Wasn't that the idea?
We decided to, do this a certain way. I think we ought to stick to that way.
Oh, stop being a kid, will you?
Hey, you want to take the chair? Just take the chair. That's all.
Ever
See if
see
you can keep
such
it
a
running.
thing?
No,
ahead,
nobody
it's
wants to change. You're doing a beautiful job. Sit down.
Yeah, you're doing great. Just
Boy.
great, fella.
Boy, I don't care what you do.
I kept putting myself in the kid's place. If I was on trial for my life, I'd want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least try to. 2 witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they're wrong.
Oh, come on. Nobody can know a thing like that. This isn't an exact science.
That's right, it isn't.
What about the switch knife?
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence, don't you think?
I do.
He went directly to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought one of those
switch knives.
switchblade knives. The storekeeper who sold it to him said it was the only one of its kind he had ever had in stock. They identified the death weapon in court as that very same knife. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. Take a look at this knife. I've never seen one like it.
I'm just saying a coincidence is possible.
And I say it's not possible.
Oh.
I bought that in a little pawn shop just 2 blocks from the boy's house.
Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Exactly.
You mean you're asking us to believe that somebody else did the stabbing with exactly the same kind of knife?
Okay, fellas, let's take our seat.
Did you just break the 4th wall in?
You know, we can be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy may die.
Somebody saw the kid stab his father. What more do we need? So let's get down and get out of here.
Well, what about it?
You're the only one.
Vote by secret written ballot. There are 11 votes for guilty. Taking a guilty verdict to the judge right now.
Guilty, 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 not guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
Brother, you really are something.
Oh, now, just wait a minute. Listen, you can't talk to me like that. No, who do you think you are?
Down.
We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs.
He didn't change his vote. I did.
Oh,
Would you like me to tell you why?
Those shots where they stare, that was an ultra close-up staring directly into the lens.
Well, it's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others. Right now, the vote is 10 to 2. I'm talking here. You have no right to leave this
Can't
room.
hear you. He never will.
And it does feel a bit hopeless up against this group of men.
Well, anyway, as I was telling you, in an agency, when we reach a point like this, there's always some character ready with an idea, see? Okay, here's an idea. Let's run it up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes it.
I don't know what's the matter with that fan. Can't seem to get it started.
I made 27 grand last year selling marmalade. Hey, what are you getting out of this, kicks? This kid is guilty, pal. We're gonna all get sore throats if we keep it up, you know?
What difference does it make if you get it here at the ball game?
You think he's not guilty, huh?
I don't know. It's possible. Supposing you were the one that was on trial.
The characters are well written because you feel like you're in Henry Fonda's place.
Has anybody here any idea?
Right, listen,
The absolute nerve!
All right, forget it. It's not important.
It takes a 6-car L train 10 seconds to pass a given point. The old man in the apartment downstairs. He says he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and a split second later heard a body hit the floor. The woman across the street swore positively she looked out of the window. Since the woman saw the killing through the last 2 cars, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train went by. It's not possible he could have heard it.
Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming in with these bright sayings.
If you say stuff like that to him again, I'm gonna lay you out.
Oh. In the courtroom, buddy.
Why do you think the old man might lie?
He was a very old man in a torn jacket. Nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. He wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he made himself believe he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
The performances, the acting, to be able to pull off these monologues in these long takes. Very impressive.
Now listen, this guy's trying to make you believe things that aren't so. The kid said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
What are you basing it on? Stories this guy made up? For crying out loud, the kid's own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance.
Look, lawyers aren't infallible, you know.
Baltimore, please, huh?
He was court appointed. He'd really have to believe in his client to put up any kind of a good case, and as you pointed out a minute ago, obviously he didn't.
Of course he didn't. Who the heck could?
Let us assume that the boy really did commit the murder. If he really had killed his father, why would he come back home 3 hours later?
The boy knew the knife could be identified as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
He would have had to be calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints left on the knife.
Well, if I were the boy and I'd done the stabbing and everything, I'd take a chance and go back with the knife. I'll bet he figured he'd find the body the next day.
The woman across the street testified that the moment after she saw the killing, she screamed. So he knew that somebody saw something.
If he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lived in a neighborhood where screams were fairly commonplace.
There's your answer.
Maybe all of those things happened, but maybe they didn't.
Didn't the old man see the kid running out of the house at 12:10?
He says he did.
Says he did. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. What difference does it make?
They could just change to not guilty, and it'd be unanimous, but they obviously care about convicting the kid.
I vote not guilty.
Oh.
What?
What are you? Hey, what is this? Love your underprivileged brother week or something? The kid you just decided isn't guilty was seen ramming this into his father.
That's not the knife, don't you remember?
Oh, brilliant.
I like how they keep tripping themselves up that way.
Look, now what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't get up and run to his door and see the kid tearing down the steps 15 seconds after the killing?
Did the old man say he ran to the door? Look, I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could have run to the door.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. Now, isn't that enough?
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to see a diagram of the apartment.
The blocking of this film is so precise.
Find out if an old man who drags 1 foot when he walks, because he had a stroke last year, can get from his bedroom to his front door in 15 seconds.
He was an old man. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
All right, here's the apartment where the killing took place. The old man's apartment was directly beneath and exactly the same. He says he crossed to the door and walked down the hall, opened the front door, just in time to see the boy running down the stairs. Am I right so far? It's 12 feet from the bed to the door. The hall is 43 feet.
What are you doing?
I'm going to try it, see how long it took it.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What are you wasting everybody's time in here for?
According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. Now, we can spare that, see?
Will you stand right there and mark the front door? You want me to start, stamp your foot? That'll be the body falling. You can tie me from there. Lock, door.
41 seconds.
You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
Ever since you walked into this room, you've been acting like a self-appointed public avenger.
Too full of hate.
Because you personally wanted, not because of the facts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Oh, he keeps slipping himself up, man. Wonder how much rehearsing this film took.
I haven't given it much thought, but let's throw it out on the stoop and see if the cat licks it up.
The cat licks it up.
Yeah, if the boy.
Pardon me, but don't you ever sweat?
No, I don't.
I think we ought to have an open ballot. Call out our votes, you know. Let's see who stands where.
I could vote guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty this time.
Guilty.
Oh.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
The vote is now 6-6.
I'm sick and tired of facts. You can twist them any way you like. You know what I mean?
That's exactly the point this gentleman has been making.
Oh.
That man gets on my...
Oh.
How come you change your vote?
Well, it just seemed to me there was room for doubt.
Oh, come on. You're like everybody else. You think too much, you get mixed up.
Think too much and you get mixed up.
Hey, huh? Must have been on the same switch with the lights.
I'll tell you what I think. We're going nowhere here. I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in this thing going on anymore.
I don't think the judge will accept a hung jury. We haven't been in here very long.
Maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
I'm telling you, they're all alike. They come over here running for their life, and before they can take a deep breath, they're telling us how to run the show, huh?
After the boy claimed he'd been at the movies during the hours that the killing took place, couldn't remember the names of the movies or the stars who appeared in them. Do you think you could remember details after an upsetting experience such as being slapped in the face by your father?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
My wife and I went to the movies.
What did you see?
The Scarlet Circle.
What was the second feature?
The, Mrs. Bainbridge, the remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Who was in The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge?
It's a very inexpensive second feature with unknown.
And you weren't under an emotional stress, were you?
I wasn't.
There was this whole business about the stab wound and how it was made. The downward angle of it, you know. Now, the boy was 5 feet 7 inches tall. His father was 6'2". That's a difference of 7 inches.
What's it all?
Well, this is the way I'd stab a man who was taller than I was. Look at the angle.
Well, he'd never use it like this. See, you lose too much time switching hands. Here's how.
What do you think?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know.
You mean you have doubt?
So I guess I'll have to break it up. I changed my vote to not guilty.
What kind of a man are you?
I just don't care.
Now, listen, buddy.
Who tells you that you have the right to play like this with a man's life?
Look, I don't have to...
You do have to. Say it. Why?
I don't think he's guilty.
Want another vote?
All those voting guilty? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Well, the vote's 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. Well, nobody's blaming them for it. That's the way they are, by nature. Violent.
Camera's moving away from him as well as everyone else, just letting him shout his nonsense.
I've known a couple who were okay, but that's the exception, you know what I mean? What's going on here?
Literally turning their backs on him.
There's a danger here.
God, this frame, man.
Listen.
I have. Now sit down and don't open your mouth again.
Wherever you run into it, prejudice always obscures the truth. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 can't understand how you 3 are still so sure.
Let's talk about this woman for a moment. She said she went to bed about 11 o'clock that night. She saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. As far as I can see it, this is unshakable testimony.
All right, I'm changing my vote. He's guilty.
Anybody else? The vote is 8-4.
Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock. I think that's a point at which we might begin to discuss the question of whether we're a hung jury.
Why were you rubbing your nose like that? Is it because of your eyeglasses?
it is.
The woman who testified that she saw the killing had those same marks on the sides of her nose. She kept rubbing them in court.
He's right. But she did do that a lot.
How do you know whether she wore glasses? Just because she was rubbing her nose?
Listen, I'm getting so sick of your yelling here.
Come on, forget it.
He's just ready to beat anyone up him. Ready to go.
Well, what about the lawyer? Why didn't he say something?
There are 12 people in here concentrating on this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either. Do you wear glasses when you go to bed?
No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
You had to be able to identify a person 60 feet away at night without glasses.
Don't you think the woman might have made a mistake?
No, it's not possible.
You think he's guilty?
Adolf.
I think he's guilty.
I'm convinced. Not guilty.
You're alone. I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
I want to hear your arguments. We have as much time as it takes.
The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it was? You can't prove he didn't get to the door. I'm telling you, everything that's gone on has been twisted. I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here. Here. Say something. I'm entitled to my opinion. Not guilty. Not guilty.
We're ready now.
What's your name?
Davis.
My name's Ricardo. Oh, so long.
Okay, and that was 12 Angry Men. Well, I loved this film. If you know my tastes in film from like my previous reactions and stuff, you should have known that this was going to be a film that I really loved. So many things to talk about. This is a film I would need to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. I think a lot of the wider themes that it was touching on may have gone a bit over my head, just because I could see that the film was making commentaries on certain things, but without sitting and thinking about it a bit and reading little bits here and there and rewatching the film, I wouldn't be able to sort of give a good analysis of what the bigger themes that were being presented were. I did see the fact that we were sort of put in a position of Henry Fonda in that film, and I think the larger group, especially at first, was sort of representing the sort of wider world, the business world, and how sort of ruthless and little compassion it's willing to give and stuff like that, just in general. And because he was gradually relating the defendant's story to each of the characters and just making them think and stuff, he eventually turned the jury around. And you sort of realise that the reason he was the only one voting innocent at first is just because everyone else was taking the easier option and sort of not even taking the time to think about it and just being like, yeah, he's guilty. It's a person who's from an underprivileged background, so it's just business as usual. Get him convicted, get him sent to death row. I've got businesses to run. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, I do believe that there was a much greater comment being made by this film than what I'm picking up on, but just makes me want to watch it again and sort of do some reading up on this film and the themes it's presenting, like all of the themes it's presenting. As I mentioned throughout it, the acting was like pretty amazing all the way through. There were some really long takes in there that contained some long, if not monologues every time, at least long complex dialogue, and some of those long takes were really impressive. The blocking of the actors, where the actors are moving in the set, and how the camera sort of settles, and the actors have all come together so that it's just when the camera does settle to where it's going, the frame is just perfect for the group shots and everything. The way he controlled the viewer's eyes by whoever you were meant to be focusing on. It could have the full 12 men in the shot, but you were never confused about where you should be looking in the frame. It's really a trait of filmmaking that I admire, when someone can subtly move your eye around, and they're doing it subconsciously, so you don't even realise why you're looking in certain places. But stuff like making everyone else in the group look at a certain person, it's human instinct to everyone look where everyone else is looking, so you tend to do that, so you can direct the viewer's eyes like that. It seems like a really obvious thing, and it's like, yeah, obviously you're going to look where everyone else is looking. That's not a profound filmmaking technique, but when you're making a film, you forget about these type of things. So for to see it in blocking and stuff like that, and to see it controlling the viewer's eye, is always really I always really appreciate little subtle techniques like that. A lot of questions about morality and prejudice, personal prejudices, and obviously that sort of faith in the justice system, and the fact that you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, it was a lot to think about. It was just really entertaining. That runtime, I know it was pretty short anyway, but that flew by. That felt like about half an hour. So this is definitely a film I'll rewatch. I just really appreciate these subtle film techniques that this film employs all the way through. Like the close-ups of the old man, and he's looking into the camera, and there was a shot right at the beginning when Henry Fonda was sort of making his first sort of case for the guy being innocent, and people were ganging up on him, and everyone was looking into the camera as if we were Henry Fonda trying to, make a case for this guy, and everyone was sort of like staring at us. And it was a good way to sort of show that they just weren't buying it at first, and you were going to be up against it to convince them otherwise. But yeah, I feel like I could go on and keep mentioning stuff about this film and the little bits of cinematography I picked up here and there, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's about it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you did appreciate the reaction, then consider giving a thumbs up to the video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. The links to the social media are in the description below, as usual. And with all that said, thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.